Hey, yo, kids, thanks for coming down and playing with me in my studio. I know that you don't get to see much of it right here from the whiteboard perspective, so hang on to your stomachs and we'll kind of point stuff out here. Don't get too sick. Womp, 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 womp. Yeah, cool, crazy stuff. I know. My mom likes it. Okay, so what I've been working on now is I've told you a little bit about the system I was wanting to do for the rankings of females in by nationality. Now I'm not working on anything so important. Okay, the next piece that I'm looking at is I'm looking at a fifth aid kit, strange objects put together in a thing. I don't know if it's going to go. I told you a little bit about that last time, or I didn't tell you about that, and I have another chunk somewhere that you'll have to watch. If you're interested, you might not be in. But anyway, so here we're back at the whiteboard, and what I'm working on now is a chicken pecking machine. Not a machine that pecks chickens. No, that's not it. That's inhumane and have to call HR and have IRB involved, and that would just be bad. But anyway, chicken pecking machine. Now, pretend I'm standing here. Are you still pretending? Awesome. Okay, what I got is this chicken pecking machine. All right. It's a toy. It's a toy that's done in like Yugoslavia or Mexico or something, or all over the world. But anyway, the weight on that pulls up the chicken's neck and makes them peck. Right? Didn't even know I could rhyme, did you? Thanks for playing along. But anyway, I want to take that idea and I want to make it expand, right? So I make it. Well, maybe not that many, and maybe that's kind of scary in itself. So don't see that part. Back up. Ignore that part. But anyway, I got my hammers in, and that's what I was excited about, because I'm going to enlarge the scale here, right? And use these little chicken guys with these hammers. Not just any hammer, mind you, but ball-peen hammers. Has to be a ball-peen hammer. Let me grab another one. Right, who can resist if you can do a bunch of ball-peen hammers doing that? Now, what are they smashing? Yet I'm not quite certain. I thought about making a recycling thing so it, as you move around a big jug of stuff or something like that, but it could be walnuts, it could be cans, it could be eggs. Light bulbs was a pretty cool idea, I thought. But to have a ballast that's something big that can swing around. The problem with that is the ballast idea, because I like the ballast idea, but what you have to happen is it has to be balanced. All right, so here back to the drawing board. What I have is these 5 hammers. Woohoo! Right, on the string. There's a thing here. There's fingers here, or whatever we're smashing up here. And you can't even see that on this phone. Why did I even use red? Red's a ridiculous color. I just lost my respect totally. Hold on a second. Well, somebody absconded with my purple. I'm not very happy. But anyway, so we're going to try the red, and I'll zoom in afterward, and it'll be like magic. I'll be happy, okay? So come in here. The ballast, though, has to be within the weight of these hammers, because it's the tension pulling it down. If you had it too heavy, I'm sorry, I turned my back and I mumble. So if you have it too heavy, then it will hold up these hammers so that all the hammers are always up, right? So then you're out of luck. These won't work, because what actually moves these hammers is the tension of it pulling the string when it swings. So as this swings up this way, as it swings up this way, it pulls the string here, which does this hammer over here? So, so that's what I'm having to do, is figure out that balance. I've got some other parts, a big old spool that I'm possibly you can't see down there. Why did I do that? Possibly put the spool up here in the air just so you can see it. It has nothing to do with the thing. No, and then support it. It will support the swinging weight and the hammers, right? And as those of you that have wonderful vision like I do, my penmanship is about as well. So you have these things, a big weight, swings back and forth, pulls the string out and pulls the hammer, right? I'm going to put did I say a dowel? That was ridiculous. A spool, giant spool on the bottom that supports the pendulum that does the hammers. Okay, that's the other thing I'm working on. And I have the hammers. I have a couple of different methods for ballast, which would be, I have one that's a big water jug, which I like that idea because then I can balance it better by just adding or taking away a little bit of water. So it'll make it more effective that way. Okay. Let's see, what else am I working on that might disturb you? I'm reading your book, The South of Pico. That's a pretty interesting book. It's had some mind-opening stuff that I had no idea about, and one of those things would be that somebody mentions that the African American is the ultimate found object, and keeping that in the context of these were pieces of property, and they're developing from being a society that's not owned, that didn't own anything, but were the property. And how do you climb out of that? And what do you do to express that information via art or singing or whatever? Pretty interesting so far. I'm plodding through there as best I can. One of the things I also found interesting was that how the African American art community networked in the 60s and 70s, in the sense that if you had a movie by a black director or a famous black actor, then in the background you might see a masterpiece by one of these actual painters or sculptors. And that was pretty interesting. And then because they couldn't get into the actual venues of a regular place, what they were doing was they'd do them at home. They'd have these showings at home, in school cafeterias, around swimming pools, in their backyard, and that kind of thing. But they had to work that way because they weren't allowed into the other venues, which I thought that was kind of a neat way that they responded to that and sort of took it into their own hands to combat that. I think they were, from the sounds of it and from some of the stuff we've seen, they were fairly successful, but I don't know that, just think how far they'd be if they didn't have to do that. And now currently I have kind of, as I recall, the Guerrilla Girls, and there's a few other women's groups that are, or activists that are working in that vein, but I don't know if they're working in that same way and how effective it is. I'll have to go do some more research. But then after we last talked about, we were talking about assemblage and bringing stuff together, and I think that most of the assemblage that I'm seeing as I'm looking at it is more along the lines of relationships based on their proximity, pieces gathered in their proximity to each other, sort of framed together, right? I'm finding that's a little bit different than my stuff, as I had a great critique on that my stuff is, a lot of it's more like systems, because it's not those pieces just within proximity of each other. It's those pieces acting upon each other to create the final drama or relationship or conflict or whatever you're wanting to say. But that's what I'm working on now, and we'll set up another play date sometime. Thanks for watching. Bye.